that's another question I was going to ask too. Is like, what do you think most people get wrong about Hex? What is it that they just get? You hear the criticism and you're like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, what are the things that people get wrong the most?
Dude, I'll tell you what I just said kind of plays into it, but I'm going to try to break it down. Most people, so I'll answer the question. It's going to take a second because I got to paint a picture for people to really get it. So most people they're born into this world at a young age. You know, teachers, they'll teach children how to count money. They teach children how to count quarters, and they teach how to count dimes and nickels. They teach them how to get mortgages. They teach them how to apply for credit cards. They're marketed how to apply for credit cards. They teach them how to get student loans. They go further and further and further and further into debt. They teach them how to become a consumer. They teach them how to spend money in their pockets as soon as they get it. We get no formal education on wealth creation, and we're constantly taught varying forms of kind of like instant gratification. And I think,
or we're taught to save everything and don't invest, like that kind of thing.
Exactly. And what does that do? That makes the banks richer because they take out loans on our deposits, and we're not getting richer. We're getting wrecked. Inflation does not outpace the amount of interest rate that you're going to get from the bank. So all these horrible things are happening, and we're just being used. We're pawns by the people who do understand the game. And that's how it's been played for so long. And we're taught to work, and we're taught to consume. And maybe we get 15 to 30, 25 years at the end of our life to chill out, but probably not. We got to pick up part-time jobs because the economy's such shit, because the government did it to us. The Federal Reserve did it to us. The politicians did it to us. They're passing spending bills when we've got the highest inflation in the past 41 years. Crazy shit, right? Just crazy. So these people don't understand anything when they get to the real world about how money flows and money operates. Now, the original question is what is it that most people get so wrong about HEX? And we're building up to it if you guys just join here. So they don't understand the relationships between the legislature and money. They don't understand the relationship between the treasury and money. They don't understand fractional reserve banking. They don't understand the damaging effects that inflation is having on literally everybody except the rich. Okay. Inflation is not bad for the rich. Inflation is incredible for the rich because they get all of it. But we won't go into that. So they don't understand how to make money work for them, how to make a dollar have children. They don't understand that. They're not taught that, and that's on purpose. And for the past, 50 or 60 or 70 years, everybody brings that up. They're like, wow, I know how to balance a checkbook. I know how to get a credit card. I don't know how to make money off my money. Right. And that's a purpose. And I think it's because they need bodies for production, and they need to keep people a little bit stupid. So there's a class of working people that moves society forward in that way, which is really, really jacked up. So step 2, right? We talked about what happens before people get into crypto. They don't know shit. Let's talk about what happens when people get into crypto. So some of these people hear about cryptocurrency, and they're looking for ways to make some extra money, right? Like they want 200 here, 500 here. They're one of their frat brothers said, yeah, dude, I put 1,000 in. I got like $1,200. We bought like 4 kegs and had a party for free, bro. It's awesome. Freaking out. All right. So they do a quick Google search when they hear about cryptocurrency. And then some maxi is telling them on YouTube that Bitcoin is the only way, right? It's the way, it's the truth, it's the life. Now remember, here's the important part. They've got no information to fall back on how to actually take advantage of Bitcoin and using knowledge that they've gained in the previous world that they should have had, but they didn't, to be able to create more wealth. So what happens? They don't know about buy and hold, right? They don't know about dollar cost averaging. So they just buy a little bit here and there. They get wrecked on leverage. They buy courses. And the same thing that was happening in the old world is now happening in the new world, okay? The new crypto world. They're still getting wrecked because there's still vultures and still wolves out there that want to take advantage of them, right? But now all they've known are these Bitcoin bros that are saying Bitcoin is the way. And mind you, here's what's interesting. The Bitcoin bros now, they're telling these people that it's not about making money anymore. That's what's really, really funny. They're saying it's not about making money. And why are they saying that? They're preparing people for the future when these people aren't going to get 100, 1,000, 10,000x returns. They're going to get a 2x return, which might be a 2 to 10x return maybe, which could be the same as the stock market based on where we are right now when they start turning the money printer back on. So they're listening to these people. They're blindly buying a bunch because some basement dwelling, mouth breathing Bitcoin bro told them to. And it's the same people that tell them that price appreciation doesn't matter anymore. It's the same people to tell them that Bitcoin has never been hacked. It's the same people that tell them Bitcoin will be 1 million in one day, that Bitcoin is pure money, all this garbage. Okay. So now the third part, they hear about HEX.
Act 3.
Act 3. So we had the first act. They don't know shit. They took their they don't know shit to Act 2. Act 2. They don't know shit. They haven't researched. They don't understand how mining works. They don't understand how crypto works at large. Act 3. They hear about HEX. Now, chances are, where are they going to hear about HEX? Chances are it's not from Richard. Chances are it's not from one of us. We're still pretty small fish in the pond, comparatively speaking. They're going to hear about it from a Bitcoin bro that says it's a scam. They're going to call HEX a scam, okay? So what's misunderstood about HEX? Literally everything. They've graduated to a completely different asset class when they talk about HEX. It's a lot better than fiat. It's a lot better than Bitcoin, but they don't know the purpose of what mining is. They didn't learn it when they got into Bitcoin. Nobody taught them. They don't understand the inflation model of HEX. They don't understand what the hash rate is in Bitcoin. They don't get why it takes so long for Bitcoin transactions. They don't understand that the Lightning Network is counterparty risk. They don't understand the tokenomics of HEX or Bitcoin. All they know is that they're in the best asset class with Bitcoin. And because the masses tell them that they are, and it's not because they understand it fundamentally based on research, they're never going to understand HEX. It is a knowledge problem, man. The biggest issue that you hear is people saying it's the whole 38% APY thing. That's what it is. 38 APY. They can't understand it. And in order to teach them, they would have to understand why they're invested in Bitcoin in the first place and what mining does. It secures the network, and that's how inflation is released. Half the Bitcoin people that you ask when you say Bitcoin's inflationary, they'll punch you in the mouth. They don't believe it. They don't get it. So we have a big knowledge problem. We have a big learning problem in the cryptocurrency community. And unless you get to people before they've really had a lot of crypto experience, it's kind of hard to sway those people to HEX for that reason.
Well, how do you attack that angle? How do you go in and say, what if someone who went through those 3 acts and they get to a point where they look at HEX's chart and they think, wow, am I sure? They're having doubts about their preconceived notions and whoever they've listened to before, and they're willing to sit down and talk and be open-minded, for whatever reason. How would you then, take their, knowing where their mind has been before, how do you take them and make them, make HEX something palatable for them at that point?
It's so difficult, man, but it's basic sales techniques. You cannot be needy. You cannot be pushy. Okay. The only thing that's going to speak to them, if it does, is them seeing facts and them seeing numbers. That's the only thing that's going to work. So step 1, show them the chart of HEX. If they ask for it, or just casually just bring it up, don't try to push it on them. You don't want to make it a thing. You don't want to make it an event and say, hey, come over here, let me grab your attention and look at this. No, it has to happen much more indirectly and organically at that point, because it's so ingrained in their head that it's a scam. And you can kind of weed people out. If they ask you questions after that chart, that's an advantage. That's a good thing. That's cool. You can take them to the next step. All right. The next step, in my opinion, is asking them if they understand. Most likely it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then giving them education for free. Not even talking about HEX initially. Just give them that education, talk them through the basics, see where their knowledge is and where it isn't. Because in order for them to understand HEX, they've got to understand what they're invested in already. It's just not going to work otherwise. So I would make the point, let me just ask you this, RH. Let me ask you. So, do you understand that Bitcoin is inflationary? And you just kind of like throw it out there, and they say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" Yeah, it's inflationary. It inflates at this rate. Here's a chart. Use a chart. Use facts. Use data. Yeah. And you say, "Yeah, this is Bitcoin's mechanism of securing the network, but also releasing more Bitcoin into the ecosystem. Isn't that neat?" Now, what's the advantage of that? Later on, when they understand that concept, you can talk about HEX stakers kind of being like miners, right? And you can think about Ethereum as being the security layer. And then you can think about the inflation is people like miners are paid to hold price up, for example. So you just, you can't be pushy, man. You can't come out and be direct about it. You just got to feed them little bits at a time. And the people that want to drink from the water will, and the people that don't, they are doomed. That's just the bottom line.
Financial freedom. I really think that, I think everything in the world happens for a reason. And if you're going to be in HEX, if you're going to find products to save you from the financial system, you're going to find them, and you're going to be part of that 1%. But most people just aren't. They never will. They'll, everyone, the world is complex. People are complex. Everyone chooses how much time to spend on each thing in their life. And most people just aren't going to spend time on something that could literally change their life for the better. And it's a tragedy, but I guess that leaves the meat on the bones for the rest of us who have been red pilled. I guess
you got to have a lot of empathy for these people, man. And here's another big thing that I want.
Yeah, you can't just call them noobs. You can't just call them plebs. No. You got to be like, no, that's not the way. That's not a productive way to look at it.
And the other thing is, when they come back later on, welcome them with open arms. Don't belittle them because they didn't understand it. That's the worst thing that you can do. Don't have that superiority complex and put people down. They're going to come there, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I just didn't get it. Be like, no, dude, it's all good. Come on, let's talk about it. I think we need to do more of that as a community. And